Welcome to, or welcome back to, the Agatha May Detective Agency. I'm Agatha May, and in this episode, we'll be taking another look at the Nikki McCain case. Let me preface this by saying that the accounts I'm finding of Nikki's case have discrepancies. I've done my best to suss out what is accurate, but if you find that I've shared misinformation, please let me know so I can correct it. If you haven't watched the first video about Nikki's case, I'll leave the link below. To briefly recap, Nikki went missing on May 17, 2024, from Redding, California. Nikki's husband Tyler was charged with domestic violence in December of 2023, and their first court date was to have been June 3rd. Eventually, the charges were dropped against Tyler since Nikki didn't, or couldn't, show up for court. There have been several search parties organized to look for Nikki, none of which Tyler joined. As of this video, Nikki is still missing. Nikki Cheng Salee McCain was born in a refugee camp in Thailand in 1984. Her two older siblings were also born in Thailand, and the family immigrated to the U.S. after Nikki's birth. Nikki is the third oldest of 7 children, and here is how her sisters describe her. She's goofy, she's silly, she's very outgoing. She has a very big heart, and she finds everything funny. She has, the most personality of all of us. She's the more feisty, but she's also the more funny. She's very brave. She's very daring. If you need someone to go do something for you, she's the person. Nikki sent her sister Chloe a text on May 7th, 2024, telling her that she had decided she was going to divorce Tyler. That was the same day he had an arraignment on the assault charges. And here is what Chloe had to say about it. Quote, "She was really excited. She was looking at furniture for a new place, and she was ready to leave Tyler and divorce him for good. She had plans to start over, to get her kids back, and she was ready and looking forward to it. She was really confident and determined, and she was ready to take those next steps, finally." End quote. The most dangerous time for a woman in an abusive relationship is when she decides to leave an abuser. Here is a photo of Nikki's family at one of her sister's weddings. Nikki is on the right of the photo, looking absolutely stunning. And the putz with the ball cap and the hoodie on is her husband Tyler. I think his attire shows how little he thought of Nikki and her family. He couldn't be bothered to even take off his stupid hat for the photo. I get that there are people who don't enjoy dressing up, but Dipwad was dressed in slacks and a dress shirt for his court date. He just couldn't manage it for an important family event. In my previous video about Nikki, I spoke briefly about the domestic violence incident that left Nikki hospitalized in December of 2023. Tyler's story to the police was that he had nothing to do with the assault, and that maybe Nikki got injured when she got into a fight with another woman. He also said he thought Nikki was having an affair with a woman. Except some random woman wasn't arrested for the charges, Tyler. You vacuous twit. You were. If you want to know how wimpy a man can be, just look at Tyler. He's 6 feet tall and allegedly abuses his 5-foot, 100-pound wife and then blames it on another woman. Unfortunately, the 2023 incident wasn't a lone event. There are other reports of domestic violence, with neighbors and Nikki's sisters reporting that they witnessed Nikki with injuries. The neighbors reported that they'd heard the fights between Nikki and Tyler, and had even heard Tyler threatening to kill Nikki. The Shasta County Sheriff's Office reported that it wasn't unusual for them to be at Nikki and Tyler's house 1 to 2 times a week for domestic disturbances. While looking at charges that had been filed against the involved parties, I came across a misdemeanor battery charge against Nikki from January of 2022. The claimant stated that Nikki had attacked her. The woman wasn't named in the report, but she's allegedly a member of Tyler's family and had temporary custody of Nikki and Tyler's children due to the ongoing domestic violence that had been happening. The woman states that Nikki showed up to her house on January 3rd of 2022 and tried to take one of her children. A fight allegedly ensued when the woman tried to stop Nikki from taking the child. Supposedly, 2 of the children had to peel the women apart. Nikki then drove off. And while the incident was supposed to have happened in January of 2022, there weren't any charges filed until November of 2022. And the charge is still sitting there in the records, but nothing has happened with it. I don't know that I believe the woman, but even if it is true, I don't blame Nikki for fighting for her children. So, how did one of Tyler's family members get custody? Well, it was at the direction of Tribal Social Services, as in the Redding Rancheria Tribal Social Services. According to one source, the event that precipitated the children being taken was when Nikki fought back one night and hit Tyler in the face with a cutting board. Tribal Social Services labeled Nikki the primary aggressor because, of course, they did. Nikki's sisters have said they started noticing bruising on her starting in 2019, so when she decides to fight back, she's somehow labeled the aggressor. The Tribal Social Services told Tyler they would allow him to take the children home, but Nikki couldn't be there, and he told them he wasn't going home without her. Something just isn't right with this whole scenario. Nikki and Tyler didn't live on the reservation, but Tyler is an enrolled member, so the tribal government was able to take over the case. And guess who's on the tribal council? Tyler's aunt, Michelle Hayward. Remember the cousin of Tyler who had the fire on her property before one of the search parties could search it? Her name is Tara Webb, and Michelle Hayward is her mother. Michelle is also the mother of cousin Larry, who had his home searched and was arrested for illegal firearms. At the time of the alleged cutting board battery, Michelle was the vice chair of the council. Michelle is currently on the council, and there is also a Tony Hayward Sr. and a Jeremy Hayward Jr. All are related, but I haven't figured out who belongs to who. Tyler's grandfather, Orville Hayward, was also a tribal leader before his death in 2012 and was instrumental in getting the Wind River Casino built, which is on the reservation. So the fact that one of Tyler's family members was awarded temporary custody isn't surprising to me. I read another report that one of Nikki's family members now has custody of the children, but I'm not sure if that's accurate. I have a feeling the children would be better off if they were, though. Nikki's ever-charming husband, Tyler, doesn't seem to have the sense God gave a goose, and he won't stop driving on a suspended license. On October 12, 2024, he was charged with resisting delay or obstructing any officer, driving on a suspended license, driving without his court-ordered ignition interlock delay, accumulated driving record, which means he's been caught more than once driving on a suspended license, no registration, no insurance, and his license plate was displayed incorrectly. He is going to be arraigned on December 20th for those charges. But Tyler had a lot of practice on being arrested for driving on a suspended license, because it's also happened on 5/20/23, 7/15/2023, 11/23/23, 4/2/24, 5/24/24, 5/30/24, and 7/31/2024. California? How many times are too many? His license suspension is from a 2020 charge of a DUI with a special allegation of his blood alcohol level being over 0.20%. The legal limit in California is 0.08%. When your level is over 0.20%, you haven't been drinking. You've been drinking, Scooter. In October of 2020, he was charged with the failure to appear for his DUI charge. And he has a burglary and a vandalism conviction from 2008. The burglary charge was dismissed and he received probation for the vandalism charge. Tyler and his equally charming mother have given several accounts of what happened to Nikki. At one time, the story was that Nikki had gotten a ride home from a friend of Tyler's. Another version of the story, Tyler said that he and Nikki had gotten into an argument at his mother's house, and she walked off and took an Uber. Then he claimed that maybe she just walked off. Then the argument hadn't happened at his mother's house, but at his house. Then Wonder Boy claimed that Nikki ran off with her lesbian lover, but then also claimed that she'd taken off with a boyfriend to Vegas. Tyler is exhausting. I've made a timeline of Nikki's case, and I will post it on AgathaMay.com, as well as the Agatha May Detective Agency group on Facebook. The Shasta County Sheriff's Office Major Crimes Unit asked that anyone with information about Nikki McCain call 530-245-6135 or reach them by email at mcu@shastacounty.gov. Thank you so much for watching. Please like, comment, subscribe, and even join for special perks as this helps my channel grow. Until next time, stay safe and be happy.